Assalamualaikum, my name is ANISA binti NAZRI. In this video, our group would like to present a company review and strategic plan. First, I will give a short review of Heli Construction. Incorporated as Heli Construction Sdn Bhd on February 21, 2020 as a Malaysian private limited company. It was through an internal restructuring process that its wholly owned subsidiaries, which is Heli Construction and Heli Machinery, came to be wholly owned subsidiary. A key objective of the company is to establish an atmosphere where employees and management may grow their skills and knowledge in a way that is both satisfying to all of them and beneficial to the company's bottom line. They also seek to maintain long-term relationships with their valued clients while maintaining the highest standards of environmental, safety and health and adopting the finest machinery and equipment. Heli Construction Sdn Bhd became a public limited company on August 25, 2020 and the company planned to list on Bursa Securities ACE market. Residential and non-residential structures are the primary focus of Heli Construction Sdn Bhd. Non-residential structures include commercial, purpose-built and industrial structures, whereas residential structures include both single-family homes and multi-family complexes. For residential and non-residential building construction projects, the company is a G7 CIDB registered main contractor that is responsible for the entire project, including the exterior built environment covering civil works and infrastructure works inside the project's area and physical buildings. Company's internal factor evaluations metric. There are some strengths of Heli Construction Sdn Bhd. First, the company have a machinery and equipment to facilitate better scheduling on construction work. Second, equal employment opportunities and learning opportunities and job satisfactions to the employees. Third, a sound responsibility within a framework of sensible and efficient controls which enable risks to be managed. Fourth, qualified and competent company secretaries. Next is they have a relevant supporting information and data on operational, financial, and corporate issues. In addition, they lead and manage by diverse, competent and experienced board of directors and providing quality construction work. However, there are some weaknesses of Heli Constructions. The group revenue had decreased and they are not conscious of any situations which will be essential to write off any bad debt. They are also decreasing in trade and other receivable of 17 million ringgit Malaysia from 73 million ringgit Malaysia. Besides, the risk of not be able to secure every contract that company tender for occur. Lastly, business and financial performance may be affected if there are delays in completions of projects. Each factor in a corporation is rated in the internal metric according to how strong or weak it is. A major strength is represented by a number of 4, a minor strength by a number of 3, a minor weakness by a number of 2, and a significant weakness by a number of 1. Meanwhile, each important factor must earn a score which is calculated by multiplying the weight by the rating. The sum of each weighted score is the total weighted score. Next is company's external factor evaluations metric. According to the table, each important external component are generated with a score between 1 to 4 to show how the company's present strategies respond to it. A score of 4 indicates a superior response, a score of 3 an above average response, a score of 2 an average response, and a score of 1 a poor response. The efficacy of the company's strategies is used to determine ratings. The weights in step 2 are industry-based, whereas the ratings are company-based. It is indeed crucial to remember that both opportunities and threats can get a 1, 2, 3 or 4. For the opportunities of the company, they have completed building constructions projects with a total contract value of 1.38 billion ringgit Malaysia, serve as evidence and established track record as an experienced building contractor in Johor. Besides, they have extending their reach to other districts in Johor, involving landed residential buildings and industrial buildings due to strong demand in Johor. The company also carry out building constructions projects as a main contractor and maintaining business sustainability through valuing its customer satisfaction and good relationship with subcontractors and suppliers. Last but not least, the company have a strong supply chain management. Nevertheless, the company also has some threats which led to disruptions to operations due to COVID-19 pandemic and unexpected project cancellations or scope adjustments. Delay, cancellations or reductions that increase in the contract value will reduce the value of order books and revenues. In addition, there are some risks connected with non-performance, late performance and poor performance by subcontractor. Finally, construction materials are price sensitive and face the risk of obtaining enough at competitive price, and this will be exposed to the risk of price fluctuations.
Hi, my name is FATHIRA LUTFI. Okay, so I will present about the stage 2, which is the matching, where we will focus on the space metric. The space metric is the management tool that is used to examine a business. It is used to determine the type of strategy that a corporation should pursue. There are 4 positions in space metric, which are aggressive position, conservative position, defensive position, and competitive positions. In aggressive position, business in this quadrant operate in a stable industry with a sustainable competitive advantage. In conservative position, the development of new products or the discovery of more lucrative market should be a priority. In defensive position, the circumstance that a company would least like to be in. Many businesses essentially lack a strong competitive edge in a very competitive market. Lastly, competitive position, where business in this sector are those that are located in lucrative markets but lack the capital necessary to take advantage of them. There are 2 dimensions that will represent the space metric axis. First is 2 internal dimensions, which are financial position and competitive position. And the second is 2 external dimensions, which are stability position and industry positions. These 4 elements may be the most significant ones that can determine an organization's overall strategic posture. In addition, we need to list the variables that make up the financial position and industry position and assign numerical value, ranging from 1, which we will consider worst, to 7, which we consider best. Meanwhile, for competitive position and stability position, the same things also applies for these 2 factors. However, there are differences in assigning numerical ranking. For competitive position and stability position, we need to assign the numerical ranking from -1, which we will consider as the best, to -7, which we will consider as worst. Now, let's see the factors that can make the space metric axis for Haley Construction Sdn Bhd. First, let's take a look at the internal strategic positions. There are financial position ratings and competitive position ratings. In financial position ratings, we decide to put 5 points for return on investment, leverage, and cash flow. For liquidity and working capital, we put 4 points there. Then we will sum up all the points. After that, we will divide it with 5, as we have 5 variables in financial positions. So the total for financial position ratings that we get is 4.6 points. Next is competitive position ratings. In here, we put -2 points for market share and product quality, -3 points for customer loyalty and product life cycle, and -4 points for control over suppliers and distributors. After summing all the points and divide the total with 5, we get -2.8 for competitive position ratings. Next, let's take a look at the external strategic positions. There are stability positions rating and industry position ratings. For stability position ratings, we put -2 points for technological changes, -3 points for demand variability and competitive pressure, and -4 points for price range of competitive product and risk involved in business. After doing calculation like financial position and competitive positions, we get -3.2 points for stability position ratings. Lastly, industry position ratings. There are 5 points for growth potential and financial stability, 4 points for profit potential and productivity, capacity utilization, and 3 points for resources utilization. The final calculation we got is 4.2 for industry position ratings. The same calculation also applies in these industry positions. Next, we need to coordinate a graph where we want to know at which quadrant or position that Haley Construction Sdn Bhd falls. So we need to do some calculation here. First, we need to find the values for y-axis. In here, we need to total the final value that we get from strategic position and financial positions. So for y-axis, we will get 1.4. The same thing also applies for x-axis. We need to replace the strategic position and financial position with competitive position and industry positions. With that, we get 1.4 also. Therefore, our coordinate will be 1.4, 1.4. So this is the final result that we will get when we plot it on the graph. Based on the space metric, it is shown that Heli Construction Sdn Bhd falls under aggressive quadrant. This is also shown that the firm has financially strong that has substantial advantage over rivals in a thriving and stable sector. They have a strong financial positions due to the return on investment, leverage and cash flows. These three factors are the most contributing factors under financial position for Heli Construction Sdn Bhd. Based on the space metric also, the recommended strategies that is suitable for Heli Construction Sdn Bhd is they need to use a market penetration and diversification.
Assalamualaikum, I am NOOR NATASHA and I will continue to present the next stage, which is stage 3, the decision stage. Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix, or also known as QSPM, is a method to strategic management for upper level management. The technique is also employed in the creation of the marketing strategy. The QSPM needs the assignment of rating or known as attractiveness scores, just like other analytical methods for formulating strategies. However, choosing small rating choice helps strategists make wiser choices. In other words, the QSPM technique compares inputs from stage 1 studies to the outcomes of stage 2 analysis before making an objective choice amongst several approaches. A useful tool for evaluating and selecting various strategic choice is the Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix. The approach is typically used by a company's top management, such as the marketing team's management. It is impossible to carry out the QSPM without SWOT analysis and IFE and EFE metrics. The Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix receive input from the findings of these investigations. Now, let's take a look at the Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix table. The strategic alternative recommended for Heli Construction Sdn Bhd is market penetration and diversification. Before I continue, let me share the meaning of market penetration and diversification. Market penetration is referred to the method of business or organization does to increase the market in which they currently operate. Market penetration tactics enable a brand to introduce its current product to a market that is already thriving and in high demand, start capturing a greater portion of the market, and eventually dominates rivals with opportunities and resources. Meanwhile, diversification is used by businesses to help them expand into markets and industries that they have not currently explored. This is achieved by adding new products, services, or features that will appeal to the customer in these new markets. By expanding their reach and appeal, businesses are able to explore new avenues for sales and in turn have the potential to vastly increase their profits. Now, let's see the QSPM table provided for Heli Construction Sdn Bhd. In key factors strength, it has been scored all same for its attractive scores, as all of Heli Construction Sdn Bhd's strength are useful for both strategy. In key factor weaknesses, there are two weaknesses that could affect market penetration, which is there is decrease in trade and other receivables, and there is risk of not being able to secure every contract that company tender for. Not only that, there is one weaknesses that could affect the company business, which is business and financial performance may be affected if there are delays in completions of projects, and it was scored 3 as it could affect the diversification strategy if it were to be implemented. In key factors opportunities, Heli Construction Sdn Bhd are seen to have more chances in market penetration as it scores more than diversification. And in key factor threat, diversification is seen to threaten their business if diversification strategy is implemented as it has more scores than market penetration, such as for construction materials are price sensitive and face the risk of obtaining enough at competitive prices, and the company are exposed to the risk of price fluctuations. Looking at the quantitative strategic planning matrix QSPM, Heli Construction Sdn Bhd are recommended to adopt market penetration strategy as the sum total attractiveness scores is the highest compared to diversification. Market strategy total up to 3.49, meanwhile diversification scores are 3.33, which are lower than it. Involved in a construction industry, dealing with distant customers is quite hard when the main focus is only in one place. Therefore, Heli Construction Sdn Bhd should step up the strategy by enlarging their reach to a larger area, since now there are many rivals in construction industries. Since Heli Construction Sdn Bhd now mainly focus their project in Johor, scaling up their reach to another district in Johor and even go beyond that by reaching to all states all over Malaysia is a recommended strategy. This way, they could attract more customers and will have the opportunity to grow more. Not only that, it also will ease their customers outside Johor to reach out to them for their services, as they will cover other districts and states. To sum up, Heli Construction Sdn Bhd was competent in achieving a balance between its various strategies in order to achieve a competitive advantage while also preserving a competitive balance between those strategies and the company's aims and goals. The company's main goal is to establish an atmosphere where employees and management may grow their skills and knowledge in a way that is both satisfying to them and beneficial to the company's bottom line. However, there are some weaknesses and threats that occur and bring the risk for the company to achieve its objective. The company must come up with an alternative that is capable of achieving the goals in order for them to be able to stay focused on achieving those goals and therefore overcoming any deficiency that they face. According to the specified space matrix, Heli Construction Sdn Bhd should adopt an aggressive approach. The business has a strong competitive environment with rapid growth. To increase market penetration and diversity, it is vital to make use of its assets. Given the existing circumstances surrounding Heli Construction Sdn Bhd and the industry in which it operates, the following business strategies, including market penetration and diversification, have been suggested, where market penetration is the main strategy that should be adopted by Heli Construction Sdn Bhd. By adhering to the suggestions plan, it will be possible for Heli Construction to ensure that they will have a successful outcome provided that all other aspects remain constant. That's all from our group. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.